All right, everybody. Well, we're rolling into episode 11 of the High Octane Dads podcast. Glad to have everybody back with us. This week, Chris sat down with a local friend and racer, Ross Shull. And so this one's going to be our first time having a guest in. It was the two of them chatting for quite a while. We'll probably break it up into a couple episodes, I think, because it's you guys talked about a lot of stuff, but it was great.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, we had quite a bit we covered. So I mean, I think we're like you said, we're gonna split it up into a couple episodes. That way, spread it out over a couple weeks for you guys.
Yeah, it would it ended up being about an hour and a half in a single episode if we put it all together. And I don't, as I went through it, I'm like, I don't want to cut any of this, you know. So I think we're just going to split it up, and we'll release one this Saturday and the following Saturday, and then we'll be back to y'all having to listen to the two of us ramble probably the week after, and keep trying to get some guests and things in here. I actually had a couple of local guys get lined up, and I mentioned last week the lowered OBS with the billet specialty wheels, the white one with the red interior, and
Oh,
reached out to James, owner of that truck. He said him and some of the guys that he runs with locally might get together and meet up with all them one afternoon. So shoot some content with them. I think that'd be a lot of fun. So try to get
yeah,
that
that
going.
sounds like it would be a lot of fun.
So real quick before we jump into your interview with Ross, just LS Fest updates. Where are you at with the Caprice? I know you were having a couple issues with the battery terminal and some other stuff.
Yeah, so I ended up replacing both the battery terminals, and I was hoping that that fixed my other electrical issue I was having, but it did not. So, but I did get the oil changed, pulled the exhaust back forward, did a nut and bolt check. I'm going to pull it back up in the air and try to pull the harness up and repair some of the wiring, I guess. I was hoping that maybe, it was bad ground, bad battery cable, but oh well. But at least they're fixed, so I don't have to worry about it now. But
Yeah,
I mean, I drove it all week this week, and then one day it acted up for part of my leg of my drive. And then when I started up that afternoon, it was fine. Yeah.
that's wild. That battery terminal you sent me the video. It definitely had an issue.
Yeah, so
Good that you fixed it.
they
But
were it's like when I got the car, it's like the battery terminals were a little bit big for the post on that battery. So I ended up going and getting the little sleeves you put over the post to resize them. And so the car had two batteries originally. So I had an extra set of terminals that I pulled off the other side because the battery's missing. But they like I said, they were still not quite right. And it's like I can never get them tight. Well, I guess they just come apart. So, like I said, I just put two new terminals on. It's nice and secure. I was able to get rid of my sleeves, so that's cool. Still having issues.
any other updates? Anything else you're trying to get done before you head out? I mean, making the car stable is probably top priority, but
Yeah, I mean, I want to do a deep clean on the car and then try to start getting some of the stuff together that I'm gonna bring. I know last year I bought a canopy and it actually we used it quite a bit. I don't think I'm gonna get my hitch built for the car before LS Fest, so I'm probably just gonna bring my little electric bike, which with the class that I'm in this year, I'm gonna be all over the event. So I really got to thinking about it more too, and I'm like, man, what am I gonna do with a whole ass mini bike when I'm off doing whatever? I don't want to just leave it somewhere. So
I'll
the
have
little
to ride it
electric
around.
bike, yeah. Well, I mean, the electric bike too. I mean, but that's a little bit easier to package. I can just chuck it in the trunk, and it still gets around, does like 10, 12 mile an hour.
Yeah, I know I had fun riding around on it a little bit.
Oh yeah,
So, you know, for me, I was telling you, I picked up it's like a camera belt, right? So it's got a
yeah,
locking thing you put on the bottom of both your cameras, and they click on the side like a holster, right? So you don't have to worry about it kind of swinging around. You don't have to have it hanging on your back, your shoulders. I'm pretty excited to try that out. It should be here Monday, I think. A little more than I wanted to spend, but I went to my niece's wedding this past weekend, and the photographer that was there was using one, and it's like, look, I don't want to interrupt. I know you're incredibly busy and all over the place, but tell me about that belt because I'm very curious.
yeah.
And she said she loved it. So all the reviews on Amazon were great. So I just pulled the trigger and
Cool.
got one. The only other thing I'm looking for, I'm thinking about getting a like a a gimbal like that you can put your phone in for just doing some video and stuff around LS Fest. I don't
Oh
think I'm gonna
yeah.
get one that'll do like my full size cameras, but get one that my phone can go in and I mean, there's just a lot of mixed reviews, and some of them, the DJI ones that are really got really great reviews, they're saying that the Android app isn't great for it. That a lot of them work really good with the iPhone, but if you've got an Android, stick with the some of the other ones. So I'm still doing a little bit of comparison shopping on that, but plan to have one of those. And in related news, tomorrow should be going down to the local track, the Central Georgia Car Scene. It's like a Facebook group around here. A lot of the guys are planning to go down there and do a little bit of racing tomorrow night. So I'm gonna go down and just get some practice in shooting and have a good time with those guys. So hopefully have some more content from that tomorrow afternoon.
Yeah, that'll be good. I don't know what I doubt I'll get to go to any of the cars and coffee this weekend because I've got two kids' birthdays this weekend. But I plan to try to get some stuff done around the house and maybe get the car back inside, right back here behind me. But I started putting up some of this trim in my room so I can start, finishing up my sheetrock. So that'll
Yeah.
be cool.
Yeah. We'll be able to
But
watch this thing every week, just get more and more finished.
yeah, and so like we were going through some stuff the other day out here that I had in the garage, and I was finding cool stuff that I was just going to toss that I'm like, man, I can use this as nice wall art. So like I've got a footprint gas pedal that's
Hmm.
laying out here that I pulled out of my C10. I'm like, man, that'll look great on the wall. So
I still have the flywheel off the LQ4 that like I just don't want to get rid because I'm like I could do something with that. I can hang it up somewhere
oh
or do
yeah.
something with it. So I thought
Well,
about getting a little clock insert, that and put it in the middle of it where the hub is,
oh yeah.
and put the numbers around it and turn it into
Yeah,
a
yeah.
clock. I thought that'd be neat, but I
That'd
just
be cool.
got to get the time to do it.
Well, like right now, sitting over here next to me, I've got two LS camshafts and a small block Chevy camshaft. I've got two sets of third gen rotors underneath the table here. I got a set of fourth gen rotors, another set of fourth gen rotors, a couple LS balancers, just all sitting around by my feet.
Matt's got that. I think his grinder's on a stand made out of an old camshaft. As far
Yeah,
as I
I
know, it's
think
still going
so.
strong.
Which I could probably do that because I've got a bench grinder out here that I've never put on anything, and I've had it for years, and it's just been kind of like shuffled around the garage. So that might be a good idea. Which I've been holding on to these cams. I was wanting to make a lamp. I just haven't got around to it, but I'm hoping that now with everything we have going on here, and then I've got the other space that I'm going to use some when it cools down a little bit on the other side of this wall. I'll definitely put a lamp on that table. So that might be what I do with one of them because I've got balancers, camshafts. I've got a couple flex plates. I got plenty of brake rotors from all sorts of shit. So
Yeah.
I've just got shit I need to get rid of.
I don't want us to go too long so we can get into the interview. Speaking of the cars and coffees, though, I haven't heard back yet. I reached out to the guy that runs the coffee shop up the road here that I was telling you about. It's like a drive up and walk up coffee shop, and I totally forgot. It's also right next to one of the drive through like car washes where you just pull in and it pulls you through there and washes them. So I'm like next to a
Right.
car wash and a coffee shop. It's a perfect place for cars and coffees. So hopefully,
Oh
maybe
yeah.
I'll get one of those going here pretty soon for our local folks, and then of course hand out some stickers and all of that. And I'm sure I think we're going to get some more ordered. And then we'll have some for LS Fest. I'm going to take some down to the track tomorrow. But if anybody here is listening and coming to LS Fest, comment, be sure to come find us. For everybody that's been, one of the original listeners, we'll make sure to hand out some stickers at LS Fest.
I'm looking to do something special on the Caprice for LS Fest, so it'd really be really easy to pick us out.
I'm very
So
excited about this.
yeah. Yeah.
So
It'd be
awesome.
fun.
Well, I say let's jump into your interview with Ross, and then we'll
Yeah.
talk to you guys at the end.
Yep. Enjoy.
So was this the site of where the burning of the car, the first burning of
The
the car?
first burning of the car was very close to here, a little to the west, and then the second burning of the car was down there. Yeah, this used to be my go-kart track.
Yeah.
Katie wanted to build a house, so we compromised, and
Built a
I
house.
wanted to keep the go-kart track. She wanted to build a house, so we compromised and built a house.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah, yeah. This was the backstretch
Yeah.
right through here. Get her wound up.
Mini bike out here would really rip it.
Yep. Bring your mini bike out. You can race Addison on her go-kart.
Tell you what, that little mini bike with me on it will do 45.
Really? That's fast.
Yeah.
That's fast on a mini bike.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's just a stock 224 Predator motor with a torque converter.
Those things will fly.
So when we went to go make my video with me with the flag and my little short shorts on, I pulled out of my neighborhood and I went down 612 and there's a gravel road that runs behind my neighborhood. And I went to pull out of the neighborhood and I went to take off and I wheelied. I was like, oh
Did you
shit.
really? Wow.
And it went down and I went to take off again and wheelied again. I was like, God damn it. Because I was afraid of pulling out in traffic. So
Yeah.
like I hit it and I hit it too hard.
That's
so I had to
sweet.
roll into it.
You should bring that down to the racetrack and run around.
So
Be a good pit bike.
So that's the plan. That was the whole reason why I got the thing. I was going to build a hitch for the Caprice, unless I do it in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah.
I was going to build a hitch for it and then haul it on the back of the car when I go to Kentucky.
Yeah.
But I've got a electric fold-up bike also.
I got an electric scooter this year.
Yeah.
Game changer.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So that's what I was looking for was electric scooter. I was looking around on Marketplace and somebody had this, and it's a little bike, but it's got little pegs on the front wheels,
Uh-huh.
and it's just a seat. You put your feet there. But I mean, it's got a headlight, it's got front and rear disc brakes, and I paid $100 for it from a college kid.
Nice.
And it was brand new. It still had plastic and shit on it.
Yeah.
And it was like a $400 bike. In order to get the full speed of it, you have to hook it up with an app.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's kind of stupid.
Hmm.
But then now the app is not supported. So I'm like putting around 8 mile an hour.
You just need some Chinese kid to,
Yeah.
download it for you
Yeah.
from China.
So I have to figure that out. No, I took it last year, did pretty well. There was a couple people that were there with me, and they were at another end of the track, and they're like, man, we got to walk all the way back here.
Oh, yeah. These tracks are huge. You walk forever. Like VIR, the paddock's so big. I would normally take my golf cart, but loading that on the truck and all, that's kind of a pain in the butt.
Yeah.
But this scooter, you just zip around. It's awesome.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of the guys up at Beach Bend when we go, there's golf carts. It's nuts. Last year they changed the rules and they're like, they don't want you to have scooters and electric bikes. And I'm like, you're okay with people on there with dirt bikes and four-wheelers and shit ripping it.
Yeah.
But last year I went, everybody still had scooters and stuff. Nobody checked anything. Nobody gave a shit. This year, though, with what I'm doing, I'm going to be in another part of the park most of the weekend. So I'm like, man, do I really want to take that mini bike and have to figure out where to do with it when I'm not around?
Mm-hmm.
I've got guys that I'm hanging out with that are camping there, and then some guys that I've been hanging out with that are going to have a big-ass trailer there where all the big wigs are with their trailers. Yeah. I don't know if I really want to leave my mini bike sitting around.
Yeah, and then, those big public events like that, you never know. Car people are usually pretty good. Racers are pretty good. Like at VIR, you don't really have to worry about stuff.
Yeah.
If it's a normal race, when they do Hyperfest every year, when all the drift kids come in, you might want to be a little more careful then.
Yeah.
When it's like the public, but racers take care of each other.
Oh, yeah. We even have a little bit of pit bike and golf cart bracket racing there on Saturday nights. They're about midnight. At the end of the racetrack. The last year we all rolled down there and there was probably like 50 people down there waiting.
Really?
And we got down there, we were starting to set it up, and then here comes the security golf cart. And came down there's like, all right, y'all got to go. Y'all can't be down here. And then the side-by-side went blasting by them and just rode right up in the woods past the security. Security tried to chase them up through the woods, and then like 50 mini bikes went up through the woods. And I'm like, y'all motherfuckers are nuts.
Somebody at a Lemons race years ago at Summit Point, they got in trouble. They did a burnout in the bathroom on their pit bike.
Oh, God.
Like, come on, be a little smarter than that.
Well, so the year before I went, apparently they were setting up in the staging lanes of the racetrack.
Oh.
And doing it. And everybody was hammered. People, they were popping wheelies on golf carts and dragging it down through there. So, yeah, they got a little upset over there.
Yeah.
But it's be understandable. But, yeah, Saturday night down there is a party.
Where is it? What's the racetrack?
Beach Bend. They have a huge-ass campground on site, and they have a amusement park on site. So it's a really big area, and there's a river that runs along behind it. So like where we were at the end of the racetrack was down there by the river. So all these people were taking pit bikes and stuff up through the river. And then we were sitting there waiting, and we looked over, and there was a girl over there doing donuts on a four-wheeler.
Yeah.
Probably drunk.
Yeah.
She rolled the thing on top of herself. We all stood there for a little bit, like, well, we probably should go before the cops show up. So.
See, I never got into drag racing.
Yeah.
I don't know. It just never hit my radar.
So I'll be autocrossing this year and drag racing.
Okay.
So I went the first year just to kind of hang out, and they did like a test and tune class, and I got 3 passes over 2 days. It sucked.
Yeah.
Last year I did the drag and drive. Plus, I drove the car 10 hours there and then raced it.
Yeah.
That was pretty cool. I think I got like 6 or 7 passes in over a couple days, and then was in that class. But this year I'm doing our grand champion, so I'll be autocrossing. I think there's 2 different courses, and I'll drag race.
What tire you got on the Caprice?
Oh, Lexani something or other.
We're gonna need better than that.
It's gonna.
We're gonna need some Hoosiers on that thing.
Well, that thing is I'm fairly certain we're gonna be dragging mirrors going around in turns. So I mean, it's 4,500 pounds of me in it.
Is it that much?
Yeah.
Wow,
Much.
that's heavy.
So with the Steelies on it, me in it, and a full tank, it was 45.40.
Really?
The 20s weigh just as much as the Steelies.
Wow. I didn't know they were that heavy.
Yeah,
Is it all-wheel drive?
No, it's rear-wheel drive.
Okay.
But it's basically it's got the same, more or less same rear suspension setup as a 5th gen Camaro.
Okay.
So it's got I put a 5th gen Camaro diff in it last September.
Mm-hmm.
I broke the factory diff. So like
as one does on a GM rear end.
Well, and the shitty part was I was with I don't know if you know Derek Arnold or not.
I know the name. I don't know him.
Yeah, he does photography stuff, but he's into Subarus, which I met him years ago. He had done an LS swap in a 3rd gen Trans Am, and he lives here in Stanton. I met him, and we went and did some pictures of my car up there behind Hardee's where that industrial park is.
Yeah.
And I left, and I was driving home, and I was going past those townhouses that are up the road from my house, just cruising, and all of a sudden the car went, bam. I mean, it jerked hard. I felt like I hit something metal in the road.
Yeah.
What the fuck was that?
Just riding along?
Yeah. And then it was quiet.
Yeah.
Like the car
Oh, yeah.
off.
I know that sound.
I was like,
silence.
I was like, uh-oh. I'm like, either the motor let loose or what. So I was like, I just kept on coasting, and I pulled into my neighborhood, and I got from like, I don't know, from probably here to your fence here from my driveway, and it wouldn't go anymore. And I'm like, all right, went and put it in park. I put off the brake, and it coasted backwards down the hill. I was like, okay, it was either the trans or the diff. And I just backed it down the hill and parked it, and I put it in park, and I sat there for a minute, and I started the car up, and I was like, all right, it sounds good.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm not going to try to put it in gear or anything. And I got underneath of it and looked, and you could see it was just pouring oil out of the diff. And when I finally got it out, what I'm guessing happened was the center pin either cracked or broke at some point. Well, it broke. The center pin broke, but I don't know how long it had been broke, but it had walked its way out and grabbed the case when it was spinning around.
Really?
And then when it did, it broke the case. It was pretty bad.
We keep waiting for the rear end of Michael Kelly's Camaro to go, but she's hanging in there.
Well, I mean,
road course racing stuff isn't that, as hard on them certainly as drag racing or autocross, because you're not launching the car.
Yeah. So that's not nowhere near as bad. Like, given I don't drive my Trans Am a whole lot, a lot less the last couple of years, but it still has a 10 bolt in it, and it makes a ton of noise.
Well, he keeps having problems with that stupid torque arm.
Really?
Yeah, it keeps the bolt that, I guess there's like a bushing and bracket sort of deal up at the transmission end where it bolts to the, so he is getting rid of that. Yeah. He might come over later this afternoon and get rid of that.
Really?
Yeah, the bolt keeps backing out of the transmission. So he got the style that, like, it bolts to a cross member.
Yeah, good.
And then to the rear end.
I had one built for me years ago for my car. It's a really nice piece, but so they have BMR cells, what they call a track pack for those cars. And so there's a cross member that you'll weld in between frame connectors, and theirs has like a dip in it for the drive shaft and exhaust and whatnot. So when I did mine, which I haven't put it on the car, but I just bought straight DOM tubing and gonna weld it across and then fit everything around it. But this guy built me the arm, and then I just got to weld the tabs to it, and it'll do the same thing.
Yeah.
Take it off the backs of trains, because they're bad about breaking the tail housing off of them too.
Okay.
There's a lot of crazy shit, but yeah, once you get it off the back of the trains, it helps a lot. It'll help the trans and the diff.
Yeah.
So like mine, I've had issues with the bushings. I think that's what I have going on now. The last time I was out messing around with David Shiflett a while ago, and he was like, he called me. He's like, man, every time you let off of it, your car wiggles. I was like, you can see that? He said, yeah. I was like, well, it feels very violent inside the car.
Yeah.
I was like, if you can see it, that's not good. And what it was, every time I'd let off, it was like unloading.
Yeah.
And it would all go to the front, and it would do all that. And
Yeah.
I'm like, or like if I just start do a lot of no lift shifting, just banging through the gears, like the car will walk all over the road. and then you let off and it nosedives and does it again. I'm like, yeah, we got to fix that.
Yeah.
That's going to be a safety issue.
Yeah, the bolt popped out down at VIR last year at a track day. And then we went to an autocross a month or so ago down below Richmond, and the same thing happened.
Yeah. Well, and then for what he's doing with it, you'll get a lot of flex on that stamped steel arm too.
He has an aftermarket arm.
Oh, okay.
But it's I think the threads in the transmission are kind of just boogered up.
Yeah,
and it just won't stay.
Yeah, because I had that happen. The clamshell, I don't know how his is, but the original one's like a clamshell piece. And I kept having where the top bolt would come out.
Okay, so his is like a solid
so he's got
one-piece arm.
Right.
And he's got a Watts link rear end.
Watts link.
Yeah.
Yeah, so some of those aftermarket ones, it still has a bracket that bolts to the trans, but
it has a bracket on the trans.
Yeah, so mine's the OEM one's like a clamshell, and it's got a bushing that goes on it.
Okay.
So mine, the top bolt will work out, and then it does that, and then the arm flops up and down.
Yeah.
I have a feeling that's what I've got going on too. But last year when I redid the exhaust on that car, it was all there and good, so it was tight. I think it's just shot. It just needs to be replaced.
We're gonna put boom tubes on Michael's Camaro.
Yeah.
I want to.
Oh yeah.
That thing's nasty.
Yeah.
You should drive it at an autocross.
Yeah.
It's insane.
I bet it is.
Yeah. He's got that new motor in it. It makes a lot of power.
Yeah.
And, these Camaros will surprise people with how good they handle.
Oh, yeah.
We used to race a third gen Chump car in Lemons. I mean, we could hang with just about anybody.
Oh, yeah.
Surprisingly.
Yeah.
When it was running. Brake really good, they'll surprise you on a road course and autocross.
Yeah, and I mean, those cars are pretty versatile. I mean, you can set them up for all sorts of things and do well.
Yeah.
They're a good entry-level car, too. I mean, like Michael, what he gave, like, $3,500 for his car.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think it was a lot.
It wasn't very much. And, I mean, I know he's done some work to it now, but, I mean, still, buy a stick shift LS car for $3,500.
Yeah.
I mean, that definitely gets you well in the game.
Oh, yeah. It sounds great.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Oh, yeah. So, how did you get into the Chump car?
It was not a glamorous story at all. So, a buddy of mine, John Carper, I don't know if you know him or not. He went to Fort Defiance High School. Anyway, we were down at Baja Bean one night in Stanton. This was 2011. 2011. He said, "Have you heard about this racing series for $500 cars called 24 Hours of Lemons?" I was like, "No, what's it about?" I was like, "Well, you get a $500 car and you just go race it, for hours."
Yeah.
It's like, "Well, that sounds great. I don't have much else going on." So we pull up their website, and the closest race to us was at Charlotte at the NASCAR track.
Okay.
And the deadline to register was that night at midnight.
Oh, God.
And it's like 11.
Yeah.
And we're like, well, obviously this is a sign from Dale, RIP, that we got to do this thing.
Yeah.
So
Was bourbon or beer involved?
beer cerveza.
Okay.
So we signed up. It's 3 months until the race.
Oh, God.
Which, if you don't know anything about getting a car ready to go racing, that sounds like a long time. That's fine, but that's no time at all.
Yeah.
So we get on Craigslist back when that was a thing. We found an E30 BMW, 88, 89, something like that, in Mount Jackson.
Okay.
Had a blown head gasket. $550, excuse me. So we rode up there, looked at it, ran it. It ran, had a blown head gasket. Said, we'll let you keep the catalytic converter if you knock off $50. The old boy was all about that, So we got it for an honest $500. Back when you could get an E30 for $500.
Yeah.
That car was clean. The body was perfect on it. No rust. It would go for thousands today.
I mean, I'm just thinking about seeing what it looked like on that.
Oh, yeah. It had a long journey.
Yeah.
So we buy it. We don't have a trailer or anything. So we're going to drive it home with a blown head gasket.
Yeah.
So it's 45 minutes up, 4 hours back.
Good God.
Stopping every 10 minutes to put water in it.
Yeah.
It can't even make it up a hill.
Yeah.
I'm following behind John. He's driving it. You can see water coming out of the exhaust.
Good Lord.
I mean, this thing was toast, and we're driving it home, blowing radiator hoses off. Got to stop and go to the AutoZone, get a radiator hose. Yeah, because we cut the catalytic converter off, so the exhaust stops like right at the transmission.
Oh God.
So we get home, start stripping it out, start working on it. The day before the race, the car won't even start.
Oh.
And we don't know anything.
Yeah.
I still don't know anything.
Yeah.
You know, but somehow we get it down there. We fail tech the first time through. They didn't like something about the exhaust. Shocking. So we had to fix that. Going through tech, the safety inspection, to test the kill switch, you have to start the car, rev it up a little bit, and you flip the kill switch, and they want to see that everything dies on the car.
Right.
Well, when we did that, it fried the ECU.
Oh.
So we have to get on Craigslist. We found an ECU.
Yeah.
Right. This is the day before the race. The day of the race, excuse me, that morning. We go out, find an ECU, put it in. The whole first day is pretty much shot. It's a 2-day race, 7 hours and 7 hours, something like that.
Right.
So the first day, we get like 2 laps in. And we're like, what are we doing?
Yeah.
First off, you show up. I had cheated the thing up,
No.
Shocking. Again, we're full of shock.
Yeah.
So, I bought nice shocks and springs, and, I thought we were really going to bring something.
Yeah.
And we show up, and there's this Lexus SC300 sitting beside us with Willwood brakes and NACA ducks all over it. And there's these, race cars beside us. And we're like, this is not what we thought it was.
Yeah.
And Lemons is not that. If you bring a $500 car, you are in trouble.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's more of, in the spirit of $500, maybe it looks like it might be a $500 car, but these are race cars.
Yeah. It probably started as a $500 car.
Yeah, it did. Yeah. And there's plenty of, crappy cars there, but at the front, the guys running at the front, Lemons and Jump Car, they're race cars.
Yeah.
They're wolves in disguise.
Oh yeah.
So anyway, we made it through the next day, okay, but that E30 was the E model, the ETA or whatever. Okay. So low horsepower is like the economy version.
Right.
So we're like, well, this thing sucks. It's got like 120 horsepower. The rev limiter was like 4,500 RPM.
Oh God.
So we're getting passed by Miatas on the straights. So we come home like, well, we gotta fix this. So we decided to put a small block Ford in it. So we go to the junkyard, get a 302, put that in there, and then that's just when it all started downhill. Blew that 302 up at VIR, had a 347 stroker motor built for it, put that in, which was rowdy.
Yeah.
But it was just always on jack stands, just fighting stuff, just constantly, of my own doing, just because I don't know what I'm doing. Yeah. So most of it was just user error. So got rid of the BMW, had a Viking funeral party for it. And then I decided, I want to get something that easier to find parts for, cheaper to replace engines, try to keep it as stock as possible. Mm-hmm. So now we're up to the Facebook Marketplace era of the world. So got on Facebook Marketplace and saw a Honda Prelude for sale from Matt Airy, who also went to Fort Defiance. And I remembered this car from high school. It was a great car. And he only wanted like $900 or $1,000 for it. Had an H22 in it, 5-speed, which was a steal. So bought it and started doing the jump car, racing with it. And that went okay, but always we're fighting something electrical on that car. Alternators, distributors, throttle position sensors.
Downshifting to lower gears.
Going into first gear at 100 isn't good for them. Turns out.
Yeah.
We had to test that to find that out.
Yeah.
But
and that car had a couple of really good liveries on it too.
Yeah. I get bored.
Yeah.
I've got to have something to do.
Yeah.
I can't sit still. So I'm just a tinkerer. The problem is I don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
So I just ruin stuff. So,
hey, that's the way you learn, though.
Yeah, it's how you learn. Thank God for YouTube and the internet and forums. You guys were talking about forums, on an episode. If it wasn't for that, I don't know what I'd do.
Oh yeah.
I don't know how these guys back in the day had their Chilton's manual, I guess, and just go at it.
I remember trying to look through some of those when I was first starting out. I'm like, man, this makes no fucking sense.
Yeah.
And so I would just go out there and start doing shit and tearing things up and trying to get
assembly is the reverse of removal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I get people to try to help me, and I thought that knew more, and apparently they didn't know shit either.
Yeah.
And like you said, just after time, I realized, it's not that hard. You take it apart, you put it back together.
Yeah.
You might miss a few parts going back together, but
yeah. Yeah, the Prelude, when the Prelude was running right, it was fast.
Yeah.
I did a lot of, aero work and suspension. I mean, I had custom valve shocks for it, but a lot of that car was kind of blazing your own path. The Prelude's not a really highly supported car in a road racing sense.
Okay.
So a lot of figuring out what kind of parts, not necessarily made for a Prelude would work on it. Like I had taller ball joints from an Integra or something on there, RSX, that helped fix the roll center. Well, I just had to figure it out, look up dimensions and stuff and try it. Huh. I had a 3-piece rear sway bar on, like you'd see on a stock car or something, just fabricated.
Yeah.
Just
made it work.
Just made it work.
Yeah.
So, and that was what I liked about Chump Car, is there's not many rules at all. You can kind of just do whatever you want.
Right.
So that was fun. Helped scratch the creative itch.
Yeah.
But eventually I just tinker until they're ruined.
Oh yeah.
But it would scream when it was running. It was fast.
Here for a while, didn't you?
Yeah, I had 2 parts cars and the race car, but we set fastest lap at a race one time.
Wow.
We had 5 class wins with it. When it was right, it was a screamer.
I'm sure that wasn't when you got downshifted the first.
It wasn't that race. No, it wasn't that race. But for a front wheel drive car,
yeah,
it drove beautifully.
Yeah.
Beautifully. You need a limited slip in the front, or else you're just going to be murdering the the inside front tire. But it would scream. The way you make a front wheel drive car work is basically you just pretend the rear end it just isn't even there. So we had 15 by 10 wheel on the front. And 15 by 8 in the rear. So it was a 245 front tire, 205 rear.
Okay.
With the stiff rear sway bar, it's going to pick up the inside rear tire. So you see a lot of front wheel drive cars, Volkswagens especially, when you're cornering, the inside rear tire comes up. So basically you're cornering on 3 wheels.
Right.
But you're just really trying to take away grip from the rear to give to the front.
Right.
And they work pretty well.
Yeah.
Good in the rain.
Yeah, good in the rain.
Yeah.
Oh, I bet they are.
You just point it where you want to go and floor it. That's the nice thing about a front wheel drive car is if the rear steps out, and it will if you're not careful, you just floor it.
Yeah.
The way to get out of trouble in front wheel drive is just floor it.
I mean, honestly, I've kind of done that with my rear wheel drive cars.
Yeah, sometimes same thing.
Yeah. Sometimes.
Yeah.
Not always. Sometimes.
Yeah. Sometimes it makes it worse.
Yeah. So, the car you have now, is that still going to be in the Champ car?
No. So, I got tired of people breaking my car.
Okay.
It wasn't that. I really got tired of the endurance racing.
Okay.
The Chump car, the shortest race is 7 hours.
Okay.
Most of the races with them, it's over a weekend. So, Saturday and Sunday, either 7 hours and 8 or 8 and 8, something like that. Every year was a true 24. Which is brutal, but really just got kind of tired of the long races, fixing the car constantly, when I'm the car owner, the car chief, the mechanic, everything. So you go to a race and the car gets torn up, banged up. Well, I'm the one that has to fix it.
Yeah.
The other guys, the drivers, they say, good luck, see you next time.
Yeah.
Which is no fault to them at all. That's just how it is.
Right.
But I just got kind of tired of that, a decade of doing that, and I was just ready for a change. So switched to shorter races with NASA is the name of the organization. It's kind of similar to SCCA, a sports car road course deal, but shorter races, qualifying plus 3 25 to 30 minute races over the course of a weekend.
Okay.
But I've got a E36 BMW. It's a 94 3 Series racing in a class called Spec 3.
Okay.
So it's a spec series. So all the parts and pieces and the car and everything is the same. Super tight rule book. basically a 180 from Chump Car.
Right.
The rule book, basically, if it doesn't say you can do something, then you can't.
Right.
And the parts are spec'd down to the brake pad that we have to run. There's a horsepower cap. They'll dyno you at the race. They have a mobile dyno at the race.
Huh.
They usually take the top 1 or 2 guys, and send them to the dyno. And you go over by 1/10 of a horsepower, you're bounced.
Wow.
There's a minimum weight that we have to hit. So the top 3 after every race go across the scales. So it's very tightly controlled. Really comes down to the driver.
So true Forza fashion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So very tightly controlled. Really comes down to the driver. There's not much we can do setup wise. Basically, it's an off-the-shelf shock spring sway bar combo.
Right.
It's a Coney yellow, so just a single adjustable shock, front and rear, so can't do much there. Not a coilover, so we can't change heights. The sway bar has a few different positions you can put it in, and air pressure.
Yeah, so
that's it.
Pretty much air pressures and just driver skill.
Yeah, yeah.
So if you were to do it all again, would you do the same route to get into this how you did, or would that if you found somebody else to do it?
Yeah.
Because the way I see it, listening to it, I mean, that way it gives you a good understanding of what you need to do for your own car, and then all your own fabrication.
Yeah.
And kind of hones all your skills to help you know how to get it along.
The endurance racing is a great teacher.
Okay.
Of not only driving but car building. The endurance racing, you're doing a 2-hour driving shift.
Yeah.
So one endurance race is half a season of sprint racing. Right. So you get a whole lot more driving experience with the endurance racing around traffic, racing around all different kinds of cars.
Right.
You're out there with V8 pony cars and 1.6 liter Miatas.
Yep.
And everything in between.
Don't sleep on those Miatas.
And don't sleep on those Miatas, especially in the corner. They're going to come around you.
Yeah.
So that it really helps teach you traffic management.
Okay.
Right? How to set up passes, how to time passes, and then of course the fabricating, the car building, because the endurance racing is more open in the rules. You can do more, and you can learn more.
A lot more dirty racing.
No, I wouldn't say so. Okay. Contact is still frowned upon.
Right.
A little bit more, but not much.
I would say maybe that's more of an inexperience or
the endurance racing really teaches you to look out for the other guy.
Okay.
Because it may be his very first time he's seen a racetrack.
Right.
Not even been on a racetrack, seen one. Because with the endurance racing, there's no qualification to get out there. Lemons and Chump Car, there's no qualification to get out there. NASA, you have to go through a licensing process.
Okay.
So at least you've held a steering wheel before.
Right.
With what I'm doing now.
Right.
Chump Car, I mean, it literally, we were the same way.
Yeah.
Our first race, the only thing I had done before that is a couple of autocrosses.
Yeah.
And we're out there racing with 80 other cars.
Yeah.
So, the guy that I was the first race, there's a bunch of them out there. So it really teaches you to be aware of what's going on around you. Don't necessarily trust that other guy is going to do what you think he should do. Give yourself an out. But the endurance racing is a good way to start. You can kind of develop the car over time. It doesn't take, I shouldn't say it doesn't take a ton of money. It does take money because the safety stuff alone takes money.
Right.
You can have a car that you paid $500 for, but what you don't realize is it's going to take another $8,000 to prep it just to pass tech inspection. Mm-hmm. You got to have a roll cage, racing seat, harness, kill switch. Everybody requires a fire suppression system now.
Okay.
So it's a lot of safety gear just to be able to cross, set foot in the door, basically.
Right. But that's good, though.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Safety's huge.
Yeah.
We're all out there for fun. Nobody wants to get hurt out there. So safety's big. We did the roll cage in my car, me and a buddy. We did one in Scott's car. Mm-hmm. It's all the full gear, fire suit, helmet, Hans, all that stuff.
So any plans on a Miata in the future?
No plans for a Miata. I raced one of those a couple of years ago, and I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't get it. I don't see what the hype is.
All right, so that was the first half of your interview with Ross. So we'll pick that up next week. Just a couple housekeeping things again before we head out. Chris and I just wanted to remind you guys. We're going to say it a bunch of times between now and then that we'll be out at LS Fest. We will have a stack of stickers, so come find us. Make sure you get one of these. Chris has got some surprises on the Caprice, which is going to be a lot of fun. And
Yeah.
I know I'm still, I'm just as amped up about going to LS Fest and hanging out with you guys again. It's going to be different this year without my car there, but looking forward to seeing Steve's car make some passes, and should be a lot of fun.
Oh yeah, I agree. I can't wait at all.
Good deal. All right, we'll wrap it up here because if I'm estimating correctly, this is probably a little over 40 minutes at this point. So we're not going to keep you guys any longer this week. Check out next week. We will have the last half of the interview with Ross and a little bit more from us on LS Fest prep.
Yep.
Inching ever closer.
Yep. Have a good week.
All right, everybody have a good one. See you, folks.